Yo, what's up? Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on to my Tesla family? All right, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to go over this really quickly because I'm working on a script, a trading script. So I want to kind of get it to a certain point so I can test it out today. And if not today, then I want it to be ready by Monday next week. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me share my screen. Okay, so right now Tesla's up 0.41%. It was just up 0.45%. Yesterday, you can see we closed 1.77 points below. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. I did, let's see, let me switch to my trading journal. I did trade Tesla yesterday. I'm testing out. I can't recall if I mentioned this, but I'm testing out a couple things. One is buying really cheap contracts. The delta is 0.20. It'll range between 0.19, 0.20, or 0.21 or 0.22, something like that. And to see how much money I can make on those particular contracts. And so far so good. Like yesterday, I like obviously I took a loss on these contracts, but they were winners. So what I'm looking at now is finding the balance in terms of um, because these particular contracts, the time does play a factor and momentum plays a factor. And I noticed that yesterday. So now I'm looking at and that's part of the script that I'm working on is to get those visual cues because it's very difficult to track so many indicators, especially when I'm paying particularly more attention to my more serious position. Like I did take a position yesterday, and I noticed the momentum was it was really slowing down, and I didn't see buyers stepping in as aggressively as I would like. So I did exit this trade at a profit of $784. This reached as high as $960. So as you can see, it was a 2% return, but I was really up like a little bit more. Like I said, I lost close to $200 um, from the maximum gain. So that's cool. And this, let's see, was this yeah, this was it. So these two contracts, I was actually up $96 on on these two contracts, which mean that they were roughly $45 a con. So, and I ended up losing 40, close to $45. So, but yeah, the script is going to give me a visual indicator, kind of like maybe if I am able to go to the chart. Let me turn this off. I wrote some separate scripts here, and these two are some of the ones I was working on, but let me add this to the chart. And so, yeah, let me kind of move this out the way. So this is what I'm talking about. You might see this because the market is active, so you might see that. Yeah. So these are going to provide this particular script provides a visual indicator that tells me, hey, where the trend is, the trend strength, because it's monitoring different indicators behind the scene that it becomes like really difficult to kind of manage your trade when you're focusing on so many different indicators. For me, it gets a little, too cumbersome. And I just wanted to see like something visual that like these, like a emoji, like weak, mixed, strong, like something very simple, like what's the momentum? And that way I could just kind of see how often it's flipping between different signals or indications. and gauge my trade, evaluate my trade in real time, and just like, okay, like yesterday, if if I show you this, I actually got into this trade at like at this point. I saw a buyer stepping in aggressively, and so I got into this trade, both trades at the same time. Well, almost at the same time. Um, but yeah, I entered the trade. Nice push here, but because of this activity, I can't really you can't really say in real time if this trend is going to continue. So you can see continuation is another visual indicator that I have here, and you can see that we did like have a really quick drop in one candle, back to retest the zone. Buyers did step in again and push the stock back up, but we didn't do much. And this choppy activity, this consolidation type activity, really caused the cheaper contracts to lose a lot of value, even though they don't expire until like 7 days. So I could have stayed in while losing money, but that's not what the practice is. I'll do that not with my real money, because this I was trading with my real money, but I will let it ride to see what happens with my paper money, because it doesn't cost me anything. But I'm not going to sit in through like, 10, 20, 30, 40% loss on these cheaper contracts, or any contract for that matter. But this is what I'm working on. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. As you can see, this month is wrapping up really, really nicely for me. I made actually almost $8,000, right? So you can see here um, what I made, but I did have some losses, right? So I had these two losses, so plus these three, right? But I'm doing really well as far as my wins, exiting the trade, like really being patient. This month I've been really focusing on what my mentor has been teaching, as far in terms of being patient, looking for A+ setups, um, not chasing trades, not chasing the money, not doing revenge trading. Uh, Hold on, am I glitching? Dang, what's going on? I don't know what's going on with my screen. This is crazy. Wow, that was weird. So I don't know what happened to my screen. Everything just kind of froze and broke up. So that was crazy. I had to restart um, Chrome. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Everything just kind of went on the fritz. But yeah, so what I was saying is, let's go ahead and jump into the news. Let me open up. I have to open up everything again. I didn't even know this live would still continue, I guess, because it's on the server side. But let me do this. Let me share entire screen. That's what we want. Trading view. Let's do this. Let's go Tesla. There we go. And then duplicate that. News. All right, and so let's check any red folder news today. Coming into today, looks like we do have some red folder news at 7:30, so in about 12 minutes, and then we have some orange folder news at 9. All right, so let's take a look at any news that could potentially be affecting the markets. Or and Tesla. Let's see. These stocks are moving. Tesla stock is rising. Why faces a new threat from China? So China did launch its competitive. This is a weird relationship, right? So China is Tesla's competitor, but at the same time, Tesla is doing a lot of things for China. Like I don't know, it's that's super weird. There was a couple of things, right? So Tesla shares were gaining early, blah blah blah. We know this. Shares were up 8% on Monday. Thursday, yesterday, reported that this guy was fired. This was one of, I don't know what happened with this relationship, but he was doing a lot. He was basically like Elon's number two, from what I read. And he was doing a lot for Elon at different companies like X, um, Space, like the social media, and then SpaceX, and as well as um, Tesla. So it's crazy. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, he was let go. And there was another person that was let go, which was the HR. Um, I think it was the HR. I can't remember if it was an executive or I had the news up. Obviously, I had to restart Chrome, so I don't have it on hand. But let's see. There's also new competition for Tesla. Chinese firm Xiaomi launched a new electric sport utility vehicle on Thursday that undercuts Tesla's Model Y, one of the top selling SUVs in China. So, this competitor, the company said it sold 200,000. So, 200,000 of the vehicles in the first 3 minutes of sales going live and 289,000 in the first hour, the Wall Street Journal reported. So, coming into Friday's session, the stock is up. That's pretty good. We'll see. We'll take a look at this. Tesla's numbers are around the corner because we'll see when. Well, let's just take a quick look. I don't see a date. All right, said no. Tesla's number two, most bullish. Tesla in early January. Well, when does it come? Did I miss it? Tesla's likely to report second quarter deliveries next week. Oh, it was right at the top. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Tesla's proxy for sales of 366,000 EVs. That's less optimistic than the current facts since second quarter capital call for census 390. Tesla delivered 440 in the second quarter of 2024. Earlier this week, analysts at Baird curiously Tesla may benefit at least on paper from the comparison with its weaker. All that said, likely saw some demand delay given new affordable models coming in later in the year. Analysts say he used monthly registration data from Europe and China, which he called fairly reliable. He modeled a quarter and different estimates. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over this a little bit closer and check and see, but um, I'll keep an eye out on the next week. to see what shapes up based on what's going on with this competition here. But that's cool. Like, I don't expect Tesla to do too much today. If it does, cool. I'll look to make. If I see an A+ setup, then I'll look to enter a trade in either direction, up or down. So it doesn't really matter for me because I don't have a bias coming until today. I don't have a bias for any direction. But let's take a look at the markets. Okay, let's see what SPY is doing currently. Well, dang, SPY, man, I should have been in a overnight position. Look at that. SPY's jumping. So that's a good sign. Let's check Qs. Qs, same thing. Wow. So let's see what happens after the red folder news at 7:30 and the orange folder news at 9. Um, so once the market opens at 8:30, um, well, obviously after 7:30, we'll see if that has any impact on the direction of the markets, the indices, SPY and QQQ, as well as SMH, um, which monitor is the ETF for all the semiconductors. I just learned about this. So these indices are how I learned from my mentor how to gauge the direction of the market, and it's a good confluence or AKA variable to gauge in terms of the direction of where the Mag 7 or semiconductors are headed. And if they're trending in a specific, now they don't 100% follow the trend of the indices, but it is a good indicator to use to gauge the potential direction, because it is very close. Like, I would say I haven't been checking, like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can write a script to see how consistent that is on a daily to weekly, monthly basis. Because that is something good that I like to know. Like, I want to get more data driven because I want to. My goal is to transition to being a manual trader, sitting at my computer manually entering and exiting trades, to automating this process. So I'm mastering my mentors, the strategy that I learned from my mentors, to understand how to create a script that will execute this automatically for me. So I want to automate this process. Um, I'd like to have this process automated by the end of the year. I don't know if that will happen, but at least within 2 years, it will be, because it takes time, and I want to get this right. So I'm starting very, very small. Like, first, I'm using visual indicators that I'm scripting to check, because this is how that automation process is going to start. So as I'm using these visual indicators to measure and evaluate their efficiency, right? Does it work? How well does it work? Can I rely on these indicators? So far so good, right? And let me add this to the chart. This is the other one that I'm working on now, because right here you can see there's so many indicators that you can add to your charts, and I think it gets really confusing when you see all the different lines and everything. But I want my chart simplified. This is probably going to go away, um, and it's going to look more like this, because this is more clean for me. It's not something that I have to. To me, this is too much to read during in real time, but this is something that I was really looking for. So I redid this script to this, and as you can see, um, let's see that indicate. Oops, let me go back. Let me save. Plot a chart. Let me move this. Get rid of that. Apply. Save. Come here. Do the same thing. Apply. Save. Turn this off. So as you can see, like this is a really clean visual indication of what's happening currently in the market, right? For this particular ticker. And it'll let me know, hey, it's because it's measuring several indicators all at once. And then it just gives me a quick signal as far as like what all, like what I should be looking for. So what's the momentum? You can see that it just changed. What's the likelihood of the continuation? So if the continuation looks weak, you can see from this pullback. Visually, you can see this, but behind the scenes, there's other indicators that is being evaluated as well to help, really gauge what's happening in the market. Where, visually, it's as a human being, it's too hard to focus on all of these different visual indicators, and it can get really confusing, especially for new traders like myself. This is my first year day trading, so and as you can see from the results that I showed you guys in my day trading journal, I am, learning very quickly and succeeding very quickly. So feeling blessed and very thankful about that. You know, almost made 8,000 this month. Man, that's crazy. 8,000 dollars in 1 month. In less time than it took me to make this same amount of money as a software engineer. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm working on another script that's going to be even more enhanced than this one. Same style and UI or look and feel, but there's going to be a little bit more detail that I want to gauge to check the direction of the market. So let me save this. Boom. Go to Tesla. All right. So um, coming into today, let me go ahead and jump into my strategy. The markets are up, looking very good. That's cool. What I like to see coming into today, as you can see from my charts here, this is the 1 hour chart. Okay. Look at the activity that happened since Wednesday. Once we dropped, or as we dropped from Monday, right? Because this was the Monday, very bullish sell off, more sell off. And then from then, the whole day consolidation, just choppy, choppy. Look at these wicks, both up and down, like choppy, choppy, choppy. So I'm not expecting too much activity today. I'm not expecting much because there hasn't been much news that is likely going to move the market. But as I said, don't focus too much if you're thinking about trading Tesla. I think there are definitely scalping opportunities, as you can see from my as I pointed out in my journal. Pull up my journal again. Um, these were scalps. Like I, made a quick. Um, this says 2 hours, but I want to show you what this looks like in real time. So I started the position at 10:20. I exited the majority of the position at 10:21. So I was done within 1 minute. Don't let the 2 hours fool you. The 2 hours is where I left trailing contracts, right? So I left 5 trailing contracts. I sold the majority of my position once I reached my target my profit target. Excuse me. That's the key. That's the key to day trading. Like, and this happens in a minute. That's what I'm trying to help you guys understand. Like, it doesn't take long for you to make your money. Everything else is just basically kind of wait to see what the market is doing, and you're gauging that bar by bar. And that's why I have these different charts, because you got to kind of go to the higher time frames to see what's happening. You got to zoom out and see the bigger picture, and then zoom in to the 1 minute chart to take a closer look as the behavior or the direction is developing in real time. So as you can see, as we zoom out, Tesla isn't doing much, right? As we begin to zoom in, the activity is really, really, really minimal, like really minimum. Scalping opportunities, yes. But as far as like staying in the trade, which is what I learned yesterday, it can begin to work against you, even if the trend isn't really breaking market structure. As you can see, I got in the trade here at Tesla at this point. So around 10:15, as you can see from my journal. or 1020. So at 1020 is when I got in. If we go here at 1020, I got in on this candle. Made my money on this push of this candle, 1027, as you can see. Got out, or 1021. Hey, let me zoom. I was in at 1020. I made my money at 1021, and then I left trailing contracts because um, it's like, man, I'm not seeing a lot of push and momentum like these small candles. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. So it wasn't like this. This is what I really like to see, like, you know, really strong bullish candles. But these, it wasn't a lot of activity. Plus, it wasn't a lot of volume. So I was like, man, let me just get my little sniper money and then be on my way. So at 1021, I'm out, right? 1021 here on this candle is when I exited. Then I left five trailing contracts. And luckily I did, because look at this significant drop. There, like, that's what I mean by Tesla can reverse on you. This is a very volatile stock. News could happen. You can't anticipate when random news is going to pop up. Maybe Elon said or did something, or Donald Trump said or did something. And man, the stock had just dropped. That's why when you see profit, you want to just get your money, man. So I quickly took my money and left the five trailing contracts. So this did not affect me much at all, because I'm already in a position of, let's say I was up like seven, I think I was up 700 at the time. Um, yeah, it's like 700 bucks, and brought me down to about six, maybe like close to 600, like 590. But then we did make our way back to the upside. And so I had two positions open at this point. And here, now look at this yellow line. This is, let's consider this like a trend line, right? We're slowly making our way up. Like it's trying to push its way up, but not really moving too much. If we're using this previous high, right, the previous peak of the yellow line, we're not really doing too much. We're coming to that peak and then bouncing off of it, coming to the peak, bouncing off of it. And this is where you got to look at it and say, okay, look, here's what I'm learning for smaller, like those smaller 0.20 delta contracts. If from the previous high or peak of that trend line, we don't make it, okay, the first time is okay. But let's say we start to pull back and reject a little bit, but we're slowly make grinding our way back up to the point, to the top again. But we don't break through. We don't break through. So look at this candle. We had this. Let me zoom in here so you can see this candle. So this is the candle and remember, this is the peak, right? This is the peak. So the trend line never breaks above this peak. And you can see we push up aggressively, buyers step in, but then sellers stepped in aggressively and pushed the price back below this trend line. And this is when I should have got out, like right after that second candle. I should have exited both positions. I didn't exit both positions until we got closer to here. It was like, I think it was here. It was in this choppy mess right here. So next time, like today and and on, and moving forward, I'm not going to stay in this chop with those 0.20 deltas. The cons were up as high as 12%, both positions. 12%. My goal is 3 to 7%. So I had already surpassed my goal, almost doubled it. And I could have, I wanted to, my goal was to, like, oh, okay, if we don't break market structure, I'll just let the contract ride for the whole day. That was my intention, because they don't expire until 7 days. So I was like, if we don't break structure, then I'll stay in and let it chop. Let it continue to slowly, move upward. But it didn't do that. So I needed to exit this a bit sooner, and I'll keep an eye out on that. But I'm working on a script that's going to help me gauge some other indicators behind the scene that's going to give me, more of a heads up, if you will, a warning, that it's time to possibly consider getting out the trade before, this actually starts to happen. With that said, coming into today, here's what I'm looking at. because there's a lot of chop. I'm not seeing any real movement. What I'd like to see is the reaction off of this key level. We have, you can see here, the previous day high is all the way up here at 343, and we're at 320, 326 and change. Okay, so I'm not expecting too much. I don't expect us to reach the previous day high. I don't see any news that could move the market and cause the stock to push this high on a Friday. So it might be like some momentum at the beginning. We'll see. But what I like to see is, since we're so close in this range, between we're only a dollar away, like basically just a dollar and change, like a dollar 60, $1.50 away from each other. So this is the zone. So what I like to see is maybe like some consolidation and see the reaction off of this level. See buyers potentially step in, push the price higher, and check for reaction off of this level. Either we stay below, right, and come back and retest using this key level or pricing zone as resistance for continuation back down again. And we might possibly continue towards the previous day low of 323.61. And then I would, basically just check the reaction off of this key level. Do we bounce off, maybe consolidate and slowly grind our way back up again, or do we continue heavy below this key level and use it as resistance to make our way down to lower key levels? um, let's see, the next key level that I have marked out is 304. So we'll see coming into today what that looks like. I believe there will be some scalping opportunities, obviously. Um, but really, ideally, what I like to see is maybe at the open, we make our way down and bounce off of the previous day low, see buyers step in aggressively and start pushing the stock up towards either the pre-market low or the pre-market high. That's what I'd like to see. That to me is more ideal of a plus setup that I'd be interested in. Um, Secondarily, we could start out, kind of break above the previous day high, or excuse me, pre-market high, come back and retest this zone, and then bounce off of this zone for continuation back up towards, maybe 335. Not sure if we'll even reach 335. That is, Tesla does move on average between $10 to $16. So it could happen, and if it does, it's going to be really quick. Like, it'll be quick, and then there'll be a sell off again, and then we'll drop back. We'll drop back. But coming into today, that's what I like to see. Not expecting too much, but the market is showing that we are trending in the right direction. Oh, look at that. Oh, we had the red folder news, so it looks like there is some reaction. So we did drop. Let me pull this down and zoom in. Yeah, that was significant. We had the news drop at 7:30, so there was reaction. So let's see, maybe if the market stay heavy, because we might come back to close this gap. Yeah, we gapped up significantly from the previous day. A dollar and 40, a dollar and 40, dollar 40. Let's see what Q's did. Yep, Q's reacted as well. 7:30. I didn't see Tesla do anything though. Tesla wasn't affected by the news. Let's see. Let's zoom in and check. Oops. 7:30. Oh, well, we did drop. Yeah, we did drop a bit, but then it looks like we pushed back up. So, yeah, we'll see. But anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to call it a day, and I'll see you guys again next week, Monday, same time, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you found value in this, feel free to like and subscribe and follow for more. All right, it's your man Ace. I'm signing out.